The Premier League has finally started after a long-awaited start to the season, following a summer full of loads of high-profile summer transfers and newly structured teams. In this video, we're going to go over Manchester United versus Arsenal, kind of what to expect, what I think the first 11 would be for both teams, kind of what are the danger points, stuff to look out for, and finally, we're going to go over my score predictions. Before we get started, feel free to leave a like, subscribe. That helps a lot. The goal for the end of the year is to hit 500 subscribers. Help me hit that goal. And back to the video. United play Arsenal at Old Trafford tomorrow. And in this video, I just wanted to go over what I think my starting 11 would be. Starting with Manchester United. Onana hasn't played any game for us in preseason. So I highly doubt he would start for us, in my opinion. I think just based on preseason performances, I'd probably want to see Tom Heaton there. Bayern, I think he was okay at best. I don't think he kind of cemented his spot, even though I feel like he really should have, considering Onana's performances last season. But I think Tom Heaton will come in with loads of experience, and I think he could do a solid job for us on in between the sticks. Not to mention, he did get a lot of time during preseason, so I think Ruben Amorim is starting to trust him a little bit. As for our center fullback, our center back, I think that'll be De Ligt. It could be Maguire, but I don't think so. I think Maguire is part of the newly structured leadership team at United, but I don't see him being a starter for us this season. However, loads of respect for Maguire. I do think whenever he does come in, he'll do a solid job for us. Euro is definitely going to start. He's really starting to grow into a player, one of those like Rio Ferdinand type of players. Tall stature. He can be physical. He's super young too, so his ceiling is super high. I think he's one of those players that can not easily, you don't want to talk too highly about players, especially when they're super young, because, everyone's ceiling is different. But I think if he continues to grow at the rate by which he's growing, at least for the next 3-4 years, I think he would be one of those Van Dijk type of center backs, maybe even more, maybe even greater. But I think Euro starting. As for left center back, I think that's a tough option. I think we have a couple options there. Aiden Heaven, I believe, is out with an injury, so I don't think he would start. But I really like that kid, and I think he'd grow into a solid defender as well. I think we're likely to see Luke Shaw, in my opinion. Luke Shaw last season, obviously he came back from injury. He sustained the injury he sustained in the Euros, I think, with England. He came back. He was looking kind of out of shape. This season in preseason, he looks a lot more fit, a lot more in shape, a lot slimmer. Looks like he shed off a couple pounds. So I think he could do a job for us. I think he's probably still one of the best players in the England squad, in my opinion. Despite all the tough criticism he's received over the past couple of years, over his time at United in general, I think that there really is a world-class player in Shaw. So I think he will start. I think Ruben Amorim recognizes that, and is probably going to play him. Going at right back or right wing back, I think that's pretty easy. Ahmad, my boy Ahmad, I love Ahmad. To me, he's kind of like a little Messi. He has attributes of Messi. Obviously, Messi's just on a different level, but he has attributes of Messi. He's super agile. The way he carries the ball, his close ball control. I really like him as a player. I think he does a job anywhere on the pitch, really. I think he's super hardworking and can track back, and so I think for me, there's no brainer that he would start. We have left wing back. I would have to say Jeremy Dogu. I think in preseason, he was probably our best player. I actually went to see our game against Bournemouth in Chicago, first ever United game, and I'll probably put that link up here if you want to check that out. But he was definitely our best player in that game, and best player in general throughout preseason. He's really grown into a player that I didn't think he had in him personally. When we got him in January last year, or no, this January. Sorry, when we got him January 2025, I wasn't too sure kind of what to expect from him. Never heard of him, never really watched him play. I thought last season when he was playing, he seemed just a bit raw, and he still is. But I think he's added a few things in his locker. He's started to not only go wide and kind of like put it hit the ball at the back post, but he's also started to cut in, maybe use his right foot a little bit. So I'm super excited to see what comes of him this season, and I think he's definitely going to start for us against Arsenal. So the middle two, and I think this is where it gets really complicated. We have a lot of options in the middle. However, we don't have the perfect fit, in my opinion, right? We have Ugarte. Obviously, we had him last season. He came in. United fans were kind of hoping he would solve all of our midfield problems. He was kind of supposed to be that, defensive midfielder that can stick his leg in and win the ball back and like recycle ball across the midfield and kind of progress it. Turns out he's only about half of that. He could put in a solid tackle, but in terms of his passing ability, is not the best. And so I think playing against a team like Arsenal, I think he is likely to start just because Arsenal, look, at the end of the day, Arsenal, they're a better team than us. I think that goes without saying. And we're going to sit back. We're going to have to sit back a little bit, trying to absorb the pressure and see if we can win something back. Not necessarily go on the counter. I know Ruben Amorim is trying to actually have more time on the ball this season, rotate the ball a bit more, have longer sessions or longer stints with possession. So I think Ugarte will be a starter. That being said, he's definitely not the perfect fit, but yeah, I'll have Ugarte for one of the center mids. I think the second one would be Bruno. I think they'll bring Bruno a bit deeper. My reason for that is primarily because you have Cunha and you have Mbeumo. I think both of them are going to start. My reason why is because I think Cunha, first of all, is definitely going to start. I think in preseason he played a few games. He looks a lot more fit. And so I think and he's played really well. I mean, he really started to do what he did in Wolves, which is just take the ball, go on the front foot, run at defenders, try and win free kicks, try and pass through defenders, pass three defenders, maybe slip the ball in for a teammate. I think he's already starting to do that, and Ruben Amorim actually came out talking about how he thinks that Cunha is only at 70% of what he can give us so far. So I think there's more to come from Cunha. Therefore, I think he'll start in that 10 position. Bruno will have to drop back just to make way for Mbeumo and Cunha. I think Bruno dropping back isn't necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, Bruno's he's one of those he's definitely one of those world-class top, number 10s attacking midfielders out there. But I think bringing him back doesn't really take anything away from his game, in my opinion. I think he's one of those players that can easily adapt. Therefore, I think, and I think bringing him back honestly allows him to kind of not feel the need to take the initiative all the time. I think a big issue with Bruno is that he's always trying to be, he's the only creator we have, right? He takes a lot of responsibility because of that, and because of that, he loses the ball a lot. I think bringing him back kind of takes some of the responsibility away from him because you have Mbeumo, you have Cunha, and I think that with those two in front of him, I think he'll feel a bit more relaxed, and I think that he'll be a bit more composed and maybe trying to recycle possession a bit more. And I think overall the balance of the team will be a little better. Starting at number 9, so our striker, and this is where it gets tough, right? Because we have Højlund, we have Sesko. There is potential for Mbeumo to start striker and maybe someone else coming in the 10. But I do think, considering how Højlund played in preseason, now I know Ruben Amorim is trying to kind of ice Højlund out of the squad. He doesn't think that he could do a job for him, And I think that's valid considering his performance last season. But I do think there's a player in Hoyland. I'm not his biggest fan, but I think you can see elements in it. Last season he had no confidence, but I think once you build that confidence back up, because you have to think about it, right? The first season he came, he scored 16 goals for Manchester United. That's not bad at all. And then last season he scored 10 goals, I believe. So I think, yeah, he hasn't had the best time at United so far, but I do think that, especially in preseason, he showed some improvement. I think Ruben Amorim might see that, especially for these first few games of the season. I think he might start to play him. And then maybe bring in Sesko, in the 70th minute, 60th minute, to get some minutes to get warm, kind of get used to the Premier League a little bit. But I really don't see Sesko starting this game. I know Ruben Amorim has come out saying that he is pretty fit and kind of ready for the league, but I don't see him starting. I don't think it'd be wise to just kind of throw him into the fire like that. But that's my predicted 11. I think standard Arsenal. They'll have David Raya. Obviously, he's going to start. You have Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly, first of all, he's a fantastic player. Honestly, very impressed with his development at Arsenal. And I'm excited to see kind of what comes of him, genuinely. Odegaard, Zubamendi, Rice, those three are definitely going to start. I think Arsenal's 11 is a lot more predictable than Manchester United's, no doubt. Then you have Saka, Martinelli, and Gyökeres is most definitely going to start for Arsenal. I do see Kai Havertz starting just because it's the first game of the Premier League season. Maybe Gyökeres might come in, the later stages of the game against tired legs to see what he does. But I do think Gyökeres is going to start. But that's my predicted 11. Let me know what yours is below. As for who I think would be our most problematic player on Arsenal's team, I obviously for me, they have multiple players that can really harm us. Yeah, obviously you have Odegaard, you have Saka. Gyökeres is one of those players that I think we have to look out for as well. He scored, what was it, like 90 something goals across 2 seasons in the Portuguese league, right? And you can go back and say, the Portuguese league doesn't translate well. We have Sporting, we have Benfica in the Club World Cup. They didn't really, they didn't perform well, and they didn't put a good name in for the Portuguese league in terms of where they rank worldwide. But when you have players like, Ronaldo, obviously, you have players like Bruno Fernandes that come to the Premier League and just hit the ground running. Obviously, Ronaldo is different. Ronaldo actually developed into a fantastic player. But Bruno Fernandes, he came to the Premier League and he became one of the best players in the league instantly in a very terrible United team. I think there's potential for Gyökeres to be exactly that. I feel like I do see elements in him where he might not be as good as Arsenal fans think he would be or hope he would be. But I do think he can come in and do a solid job. So those three for me: Odegaard, Saka, Gyökeres. But obviously you can't sleep on Rice. You can't sleep on Zubamendi. They're all silent killers. They're just a well-oiled machine. As much as I hate Arsenal, that's one thing I do have to give to them, that they are a very well-oiled machine, and they will hurt us. They will hurt us. Finally, score predictions. So I will tell you what I hope, and then I'll tell you what I really think. So what I hope, United 3-0 win. Manchester United will beat Arsenal 3-0. What I truly think, there's a good chance we lose this game. I think the chemistry within the team isn't quite there yet. I think we do have good players, solid players. I think even the same players we had last season, if you see them this season, I believe it was the first game of preseason we had the same team that played against Spurs, and it was a completely different side. More intensity, more fit, more aggressive, just better technically on the ball, better decision making. So I do think we are a better team overall. However, you can't compare to a Phase 17 Arsenal team. So I do believe that Arsenal will most likely win this game. As much as it pains me to say that, I do think Arsenal will probably win 3-0. Do I think we can score one? Do I think we can prevent at least 3 goals from Arsenal? I don't know. Final predictions. I think I need to give United a bit more credit. Final predictions. I'd have to say 2-1 to Arsenal. That being said, I hope I'm wrong. But let me know what your score predictions are in the comments below. I appreciate you guys tuning into this video. Let me know if you have any more thoughts in the comments. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.